Hey y'all, Tisha here from Tisha Talks Therapy, your favorite licensed marriage and family therapist associate. I'm sitting outside. It's pretty hot, so if I start sweating, you will know why. But I like to come outside and take a breath and breathe and take in all of this scenery, which is important for me. Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about the mask that we wear. We all wear different types of masks, right? And the purpose of the mask is to not necessarily show all of who we are, right? There are some spaces that we enter into and we may not feel as safe to fully be who we are. And so as a result, we put on a mask, and it could be something that we think that the person would be more accepting to, right? Or we think it's what we need to be able to get along in this space, or to prove our value or our worth, or we're just concerned about allowing ourselves to be fully seen in that space due to rejection or retaliation, or it could be a host of different things. But we also wear masks to protect ourselves, right? And so let's say if you're going into a place you don't know if it's necessarily safe, you might put a mask on, where maybe your face is dispositioned a little bit harder, right? They call it our RBF face, right? And the funny thing about that, I want to talk about that for a moment. I was talking to someone, I'm a Jersey girl, raised in Jersey. I was talking to someone who's never been to Jersey before. They're from California. They've spent some time in like the South, but they had never been to New Jersey before. And so they went to Jersey, and they went to a part of Jersey where it was a little rougher, right, than anticipated and accepted. And we were talking about the difference in the place, right? And how different areas of New Jersey may require you to show up a certain kind of way. And as I was reminiscing and I was thinking about it, and I remember people used to be like, girl, why you look so mean? Why you look so mean? And then coming from having lived down south for about 6 or 7 years, everybody says hello. Just about everybody says hello. They're waving at you when you're walking down the street. You're like, why are they waving at me? Having to readjust to that. So now, like when I see people, I'm like, hello, hey, hi. But Jersey, it wasn't like that. But that's because of the environment, right? That's because of the space. And I learned at an early age that you had to protect yourself, right? And not necessarily like maybe a stone look would prevent unwanted attention, right? Um, you know, Maybe somebody who is trying to get your attention or trying to talk to you or trying to get you to give them something. Um, if you had a stone cold look, then they may not approach you or continue to approach you. And also, something that was a little bit different about that culture is that you just saying no, nah, not right now was not enough. In the era that I grew up in, it was not enough. They was like, what's up with that, and da 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 da, and like cussing you out because you didn't want to give them whatever they were asking for that you probably didn't have for yourself, right? And so you just develop this like hardness. That's what it's called. You develop this hardness, this mask of hardness that you have to carry with you. And when you grow up in a dynamic or in a culture that shows that, then you take that when you go out of the culture. And so I was in one space where that was necessary. And then when I went into another space, I couldn't tell that it was no longer necessary in this space. It was just a part of who I had become, right? But it wasn't me. It was something that was created and established to protect me and to keep me safe in the space that I was in. So I wanted to share that story because as we talk about masks and we think about masks, there are some masks for sure you do need to wear, right? They are serving a purpose in certain seasons of your life. But then there are other masks that you've now moved into a new season. You in a new place, you in a new state, right? But you still got that same mask on. And people are trying to see you, but you don't know how to take the mask off. You don't recognize that it's safer here, or you don't need to portray yourself this way. And so I'm super curious about If you can relate to that, if you've been in situations where it's been difficult to unmask yourself, it's been difficult to show up as who you really are. For years and years and years, you've been hiding behind whatever you needed to cover or protect yourself. And now you're tired. I think a lot of us are tired of these masks. I think they have become heavy. They are a true representation of who we are. They aren't giving us peace. It's a lot of work to keep the mask on. It's a lot of work to keep the facade up. It's a lot of work to do those things. And now you find yourself in a place where you don't want to wear the mask anymore. You want to be who you've always been, who was underneath that, but you don't know how to peel it off, and you definitely don't know how to present to someone who has only known you with a mask, right? And so these are things that I help my clients work through as well in therapy. Being able to first identify who is under the mask and becoming confident with that person and being and increasing like self-esteem and self-worth and self-confidence in that space, so that when you walk out into these new spaces with a mask that maybe you would ordinarily wear, but you're choosing not to wear anymore. You're choosing to be yourself, that you're able to walk in those spaces and be that person. And so if this sounds like something that really resonates with you, hit me up in my DM. And let's see, if you're interested in starting therapy or maybe some of the workshops that I offer, let me know and I will reach out to you. All right, y'all. Continue to take care of yourself. Talk to you later.